What's up? A to Z Sports Live on a Monday. Hope everybody had a great weekend. Austin Stanley and Sam Phelan here with you. Sam, we had a great weekend there at the event on Saturday night with Buck Rising, 104.5 The Zone, and Greg Cosell. We'll be talking some, I'm sure, about that throughout this week once some of the audio and video from Saturday night comes out. But Sam, we're here to talk about the Tennessee Titans and something that Greg Cosell said last week on 104.5 The Zone with 3HL about Derrick Henry and his expiration date with the Tennessee Titans. So, Sam, we're going to have a big-time show talking about this, talking about the Titans, what their current state is with their offense, and where they're headed with the future and how they're already setting up for the future, how comfortable we feel about it, and then just the emotions about this, because Greg Cosell, as we'll explain here off the top of the show, had a pretty strong opinion about the Titans and Derrick Henry. So we'll get to it all, but we're going to have a big time conversation, Sam. And it is Monday, which means we have a Monday Ask Me Anything. And my Monday Ask Me Anything topic for us today will throw us all back to childhood because something happened yesterday that made me like my ears perked up. Like I kind of like got excited for a second. I was like, oh, are we going to do this? And then so we'll talk about it at the end of the show. On this Monday, but welcome in, Sam. Let's get this thing rocking and rolling. The people got something to do before we officially get started.
Hey, let's do it. Happy to be here on a Monday. Great way to kick off the week here with a great show. So if you're joining us on this Monday, make sure you share the show before we get things going. If you're watching on Facebook, hit the share button in the bottom right corner of your Facebook page. Retweet us on Twitter at ATOZ Sports. Take that YouTube link, send it to a friend, a football fan, a Titans fan in your life. Sharing is caring. That's the best way to support the A to Z sports community and continue growing this conversation every day of the week for this offseason and season. So make sure you help us out before we get rolling here on a Monday.
Yep, let's get it going officially. Welcome into A to Z Sports, powered as always by the BetMGM app. I'm Austin Stanley. He is Sam Phelan, our Titans reporter at A2ZSports.com. Make sure you follow us all over social media as we are Nashville's on-demand sports talk network, and we go live every weekday morning at 8 Central Time on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch. Link to the show segment by segment on our Twitter timeline, and hit us up on Instagram and TikTok for more great Titans coverage. Gotta thank our sponsors because they make it happen for us and they help out all of you, like Wilson County Hyundai. Make them a part of your new car buying process by seeing them in Lebanon or wilsoncountyhyundai.com. The Bone and Joint Institute, boneandjointtn.org, the region's destination for comprehensive orthopedic and sports medicine care. Farm Bureau Health Plans, get better with Farm Bureau Health Plans. That's better coverage, rates, and service at fbhp.com/ATOZ. The Aura app, giving you 2 weeks of a free trial to keep you safe online by getting the robocallers out of your life. That's aura.com/ATOZ for a 2-week free trial. And Krebs Kubota, an elite Kubota dealer with locations in Columbia, Franklin, and in Murfreesboro, online at KrebsKubota.com. So, Sam, first off, Saturday night was a lot of fun. We were there at the Hutton Hotel in the Analog with the live taping from the install with Buck and with Greg Cosell. Hung out with a lot of the 104.5 The Zone crew. Hung out with, there were several fans that we got to hang out with and talk with there too. But Sam, pretty fun, right? I mean, look, this was like as nerdy as a football event you're going to get, right? For 2 hours of just ball talk with Greg Cosell. They're talking about Will Levis, Tyjae Spears, the Titans offense as a whole several times, getting a little bit of like groans and boos from the audience, talking about how bad these wide receivers are. But overall, really fun night on Saturday.
No, it was excellent. It was excellent. So shout out to Buck, shout out to Greg, shout out to everybody at 104.5 The Zone. Really cool, unique event. Like you said, it goes from kind of being this like socializing, bar setting. You're at this very cool venue. You're all talking, networking. And then it's like, you flip a switch and you're dialing into film and you're getting into the X's and O's. And we're breaking down zone concepts and, quick reads and play action and Will Levis's footwork. So it was as football nerd as it got, but a lot of great people there. Titans fans, like you said, some of Titans media. I had an excellent time. I know you did as well. And, can't recommend it enough. Anytime Buck is doing a live show, that it's a place that is a must attend. So I had an excellent time.
Yeah, Buck, if anything, Buck's pretty good at being entertaining. So shout out to Buck. No, he put a lot of work into that as well. All right, so Sam,
Cool.
go ahead.
It's just cool you can learn something about football while also hanging out, watching a live show, socializing to people at the same time. Like it's the best of both worlds. So yeah, couldn't recommend it enough. And the Analog was just a tremendous venue for the setting as well.
Yeah, it was definitely cool, for sure. So, and I know you've got some things working on the website about that as well. But we're going to talk here about what Greg Cosell said on Thursday when he was in studio with 3HL. Friday, we reacted to some of the Ryan Tannehill conversations on NFL.com and the Atlanta Falcons rumor, whatever you want to call and label that. And we play a little bit of Greg Cosell on Thursday talking about Will Levis. But he said something on Thursday about Derrick Henry that was really interesting. And I think we need to, before we hear this video from Greg Cosell, and Greg Cosell doesn't just throw out predictions or opinions like this that are not film based. And so when he says something like we're about to hear, you really need to listen and to think about, that is interesting. He clearly knows something and clearly has a feel for what the Titans are going to be doing moving forward. So here was Greg Cosell talking about Derrick Henry on Thursday afternoon.
And, Bren, you made a really interesting point about the fact that Derrick Henry only has 1 year left on his deal. This, to me, and again, it's not as if I have a direct line to Rand Carthon or anybody in the organization, but this will be the last year for Derrick Henry in Tennessee. Mm-hmm. And he's been unbelievable, no question about it. Right. I mean, clearly phenomenal back, but he's not going to get re-signed given his age and the wear and tear. And, Spears is a different kind of back. And my sense is that that's the direction they kind of want to move anyway, that they want a primary back as opposed to a foundation back. And by that, I mean,
so multiple guys.
They don't want the offense to have to run through the back. If a given game dictates that, fine. Some games might dictate that, but they don't want it to be the way they have to play in order to have a good offense.
So there's Greg Cosell there. And, the important part, Brent Doherty setting up the question to Greg was about the draft pick of Tajay Spears. And then Greg goes into, well, yeah, Derrick Henry's probably not going to be here this year. So the expiration date on Derrick Henry set by Greg Cosell is the year after this upcoming season. I see Mr. Jones in the chat saying Cosell is an idiot. Nope, he is anything but an idiot there from Mr. Jones. So again, I did see somebody on the comments, Jason said, trigger warning before we even played that, because it's definitely going to ruffle some emotional feathers there from Titans fans to hear that.
No, it's an emotional topic. And this is part of the emotions that go into being a sports fan and a passionate sports fan and a good sports fan, is that you fall in love with players. You get your heart, certain players have a special place in your heart, especially the really, really, really special ones like Derrick Henry that are going to have a bust in Canton eventually and forever live in Titans infamy and Tennessee infamy. And for all that he's done for this city and for this organization, it is an emotional topic to think about life after Derrick. But Father Time is undefeated. And so these are questions and topics that you are going to have to talk about eventually. So no, Greg Cosell is not an idiot. He is, like we said, quite contrary to that. He's one of the more intelligent football minds, in my opinion, that there is out there that is, talking about tape study and what he's seeing on the field publicly all the time. And as he said, he doesn't have a direct line to Rand Carthon or Mike Vrabel or anybody in the organization to let you know exactly what the plan is with Derrick Henry. But when he looks at the film and sees Derrick's play style and running style compared to what he sees the Titans kind of moving towards with Tajay Spears and Will Levis and some of these other players they've started to acquire, it kind of tells you where they want their offense to go long term. So it's going to be emotional. I don't expect people not to be upset by the prospect of talking about this, but it is a reality that you have to face at some point.
Yeah, absolutely. And, I think, as Greg Cosell mentioned in that clip, I don't have a direct line to Rand Carthon, but Greg Cosell is entering what, year 44 or 45 at NFL Films. He knows Rand Carthon, and Rand Carthon knows Greg Cosell. Mike Vrabel knows Greg Cosell, and Greg Cosell knows Mike Vrabel. And Mike Vrabel, and I'm sure Greg Cosell knew John Robinson, right? Like, so there's a lot of connections. Does this mean that Rand told Greg, hey, yep, this is last year, Derrick? No. But I think Greg can look into it and say, this is the situation. This is where Derrick Henry currently is. Here is who they drafted, right? Because the interesting part about this is the question was asked about, it was set up by Brent saying, Derrick Henry's got 1 year left in his contract. They just drafted Tajay Spears, running back out of Tulane, in the 3rd round. What do you think about Tajay Spears? And then Greg took it where he did. So we're going to play the video again because I'm sure more people have jumped in here in the chat that missed it the first time. But we're going to ask this question while we do it. What's one word to describe Greg Cosell's prediction for Derrick Henry's Titans future? What is one word to describe Greg Cosell's prediction for Derrick Henry's Titans future? And we'll play that video for you here in a second. But first, I'm going to tell you guys about the Bone and Joint Institute, boneandjointtn.org. They are the region's destination for comprehensive orthopedic and sports medicine care. Whenever you get hurt in life, you have to know where you can go to get back healthy, because injuries in life, because none of us are playing sports really at this point. So we're just trying to survive and advance. But injuries happen and they become a massive inconvenience for our lifestyle. And so don't let it linger. Don't just think it's going to heal itself. Don't be a procrastinator when it comes to your injuries and getting back to healthy. Go check them out, boneandjointtn.org. Whatever you need, they got it. They got the specialists. They have the treatment. If you need surgery, don't worry. They got that too. If you just need rehab or any other preventative measures, they can take care of you. Check them out in Franklin at boneandjointtn.org.
Today's show is powered by BetMGM, the king of sportsbooks. Make every game and every play mean just a little bit more with BetMGM. Right now, you can use the bonus code ATOZ Sports on the BetMGM app and get up to $1,000 back in bonus bet if your first bet doesn't win. Find that pick that you want to place on the app. Make it your first wager with the bonus code ATOZ Sports. And if it doesn't win, no worries. You're getting that money back in the form of a bonus bet. So the best way to do sports gambling is when the risk is limited. Get with the king of sportsbooks. That's BetMGM and BetMGM.com.
All right, Sam. So let's play the video again. It's just 50 seconds, pretty quick. But Greg Cosell on Thursday with 3HL was asked about Tajay Spears, that draft pick. And then it brought up a bigger conversation about Derrick Henry's future. And we're going to get to your comments. What's one word to describe Greg Cosell's prediction about Derrick Henry's future? But here's the video again.
And, Bren, you made a really interesting point about the fact that Derrick Henry only has 1 year left on his deal. This, to me, and again, it's not as if I have a direct line to Rand Carthon or anybody in the organization, but this will be the last year for Derrick Henry in Tennessee. Mm-hmm. And he's been unbelievable, no question about it. Right. I mean, clearly phenomenal back, but he's not going to get re-signed given his age and the wear and tear. And, Spears is a different kind of back. And my sense is that's the direction they kind of want to move anyway, that they want a primary back as opposed to a foundation back. And by that, I mean,
so multiple guys.
They don't want the offense to have to run through the back. If a given game dictates that, fine. Some games might dictate that, but they don't want it to be the way they have to play in order to have a good offense.
All right, so there's a lot to that clip, but we want to first talk about Greg Cosell's prediction. What's one word to describe Greg Cosell's prediction for Derrick Henry's Titans future, as in, this is it. This is the last year for Derrick Henry. He's not going to be back after the 2023 season. Sam, I'll send you over to the comments.
Steven says crazy. Dylan says speculation. C. Rich goes with obvious. We've got needed from Tall Texan. We have guess from Justin. Premature, says Juan. Facts from the other John. Plausible from John. Truthful to Michael. Wrong from Mr. Jones. Honesty from Eric. Logical, says Titans Kyle. We have a reasonable, premature, opinion, heartbreaking. Thankful, ridiculous, inevitable, probable, facts, early, unknown, opinion, says DeMarco,
Yeah, true.
assumption, says Danny,
That's
basic,
what a
says
predictions are, assumptions and opinion based. Yes.
yeah, they are,
Yeah. No
in
doubt.
future based. So yeah, this is an opinion from the great Greg Cosell. Inaccurate, says Yuri. Agreed, says Will. Don't care, says Raz. Bullseye, idiotic. Assumption. NFL. It's an interesting one from Valentino. NFL. I like
Not for
that.
long, right?
I like that,
That
Valentino.
Valentino's probably look, most of the time, yes, the NFL is not for long, and Derrick Henry has made it longer than the great majority of running backs that have elite stretches. Derrick Henry's been elite since midway through the
Yeah.
2018 season, and we're entering 2023.
Guy says it's foreseeable. We have inevitable from Harry. We have expected, trend, possible, unsubstantiated from Deborah. Probable, says Yannick. So Austin, here.
You gonna go first, or you want me to go?
Well, Roy asks, why is he great? I mean, Greg Cosell speaks for himself. I don't think there's many more. He's one of the more widely respected film analysts in the game. He's, has years and years and years of experience looking at tape, looking at players, understanding the inner workings of the league and how the dynamics of a GM to a coach to ownership all the way out of the field work. I mean, there's very few people that are quite as knowledgeable as Greg Cosell. I think if you watch your TV and flip on, ESPN or NFL Network to watch people talk about the National Football League, I think Greg Cosell probably supersedes a lot of those people in his level of education and knowledge of the sport.
I'll say this on that front, on that, right? Because Greg Cosell and Mel Kiper Jr. are two guys who created their industries.
Yeah.
And both guys get heat, right? Like, yeah, the reason why the NFL draft is getting hundreds and hundreds of thousands of people to come to watch players on a stage, and then no players on a stage, but names being called in Nashville and KC and wherever else, is because of Mel Kiper Jr. The reason why there is an A to Z Sports film room and there's other people who have created careers out of breaking down film is because Greg Cosell started breaking down film for NFL Films back in whatever 1970s or 80s. I can't remember the decade which he started. So that's why he's great, because he created a whole damn industry.
And Roy says both are wrong a lot. Well, guess what,
because
Roy? You do this for 30 years of throwing stuff at the wall, and you're going to miss quite a lot. I mean, everybody misses a lot in anything. I mean, that doesn't make you any less knowledgeable or great at what you do. I think, I don't pin like, oh, Mel Kiper had so-and-so as a high draft prospect earlier. That doesn't mean he's not super knowledgeable and does his study. He does his work, does his homework a lot. So
yeah, and I'll say this: Mel Kiper. Actually, listened to this from Mel Kiper over the weekend. Mel Kiper had a quote on a podcast I was listening to. He said, "You'll never be right if you're afraid to be wrong." And I was like, "Ooh, yeah, that's good."
Yeah. So I mean, Roy says,
back to the topic though.
Throwing stuff at the wall. I agree with that. It's not what I meant by that. I just meant you make a living off of prediction, off of trying to see into the future and analyze the potential possibilities down the line. You don't have a crystal ball. You're not going to be right 100% of the time. And the longer you do it and the more you do it, the more you're going to miss the same way that you're going to be right. But I think both of them at least have better foundations for the reason they feel the way they do or predict the things that they do than a vast majority of people. But back to the question.
So you want to go first?
My word actually got taken a couple times by the chat. People said it a few times, and it's inevitable. This is NFL standing for not for long. This is every player's expiration date. This is the markings of a new Titans offense and a new philosophy that's going to take over this organization, in my opinion, under Rand Carthon as general manager. I think the Titans are starting to move in that direction. They're not doing it all at once. And what they've done in the draft, what they've done in free agency shows me what they want to do long term. I just don't think they're ready to jump off into the deep end yet with it. So like Rand Carthon and Mike Vrabel have been trying to set themselves up for a long-term sustainable future without going through a tanking process, without not being competitive. And they want to make the transition from one era to the next era rather seamless. But this happens the same way that you had to watch Chris Johnson put on a Jets jersey and, he wasn't the same CJ2K, for 15, 20 years. This happens with NFL players, especially at running back. So I think the idea of like assuming that the Titans moving on from Derrick Henry at the end of this season is outlandish or not realistic. I think it's just kind of foolish. I don't think it's rooted in reality and a realistic understanding of the fact that he's making $16 million this year in the last year of his contract. He is not on the field on third down a lot of the time. It would be like, Austin, if I said to you, well, the Titans think Malik Willis is their future quarterback. The Titans think Malik Willis is going to be, their QB next year and the year after that. You would look at me and say, well, why do you get that? Because at the end of the year last year, they went with Joshua Dobbs. Mm-hmm. They didn't have Malik in the biggest spots. They then drafted another quarterback. They've done these things to set themselves up and show me that Malik is not a guy that they have is in high standing with the team right now. With what the Titans have done with Derrick Henry, keeping him off the field on third down an alarming amount of times last season, now drafting Hassan Haskins last offseason, drafting Tajay Spears this offseason, the Titans are showing me that they're preparing to go in another direction with their offense. And what better time to do it, quote unquote, than when the guy's, has an expired deal.
Yeah.
When he's up for free agency.
And so your one word again was what?
Inevitable.
Inevitable.
This is part of the cycle of an NFL career. It is part of the downfall of a running back's career. And it's why when you draft a running back, regardless of where it is, you have to acknowledge the likelihood of this guy even getting a second contract can be pretty low. So what Derrick has done for the Titans is remarkable, and he's a legend who will have 22 jerseys in Nashville forever. But I don't think this is out there. I think it's certainly within the next couple seasons. So why not when he's a free agent and you're looking to turn over your roster, streamline everything, get younger and cheaper, etc.
Yeah. So my one word is evolution, because the Titans have to make an evolution into what the new NFL, what the current NFL is. It's not new anymore. They've been doing it this way for half a damn decade, and the Titans have not evolved into what the NFL is. I'll talk more about the evolution side of it because our second topic is more about what the Titans are showing us in their draft picks and showing us in their contracts for what this offense is going to look like maybe without Derrick Henry. But there is an interesting theme in the chat that I want to get to here in a second, because several of you guys, I see Seth has said it a few times, a couple others, Matt, but Nathaniel brings this up. And this is in a super chat, but it's also a high bar, right? So Nathaniel says, question, if Derrick Henry goes for 2K this year, will you all change your word at the end of the year? He is a unicorn. And I think, Sam, we both agree. Yeah. Derrick Henry is a unicorn. He's very unicorn-like. And so the theme is not necessarily 2K, is if Derrick Henry goes for 2K. If Derrick Henry leads the league in rushing, if Derrick Henry has 1,500 yards, if Derrick Henry is still Derrick Henry that we've seen him when he hasn't had a broken foot, do the Titans still move on? So I think that is an interesting conversation, and we can kind of expand on that a little bit more, on that theme there from Nathaniel, Seth, and Matt, and others. But first, let me tell you guys about Farm Bureau Health Plans. Here's a theme. Farm Bureau Health Plans can help you save some money with your health coverage. They've been doing it for 75 years in Tennessee. So if you need new health coverage, go to fbhp.com/ATOZ. Better coverage, rates, and service. So like lower rates for better coverage. That's having your cake and eating it too. What the Titans are trying to do on the field, but Farm Bureau Health Plans can do it with your health coverage. Or maybe you're just trying to fill in some gaps that your employer doesn't necessarily have the best opportunity for. Maybe it's a better dental or better vision plan to supplement your overall health coverage with whatever you've gotten. Farm Bureau Health Plans can do it all. FBHP.com/ATOZ.
Today's show is powered by BetMGM. Use that bonus code at the bottom of your screen, ATOZ Sports, and get up to $1,000 back in bonus bets when your first bet doesn't win. BetMGM is the king of sports books, and they're here to help you minimize your risk when you get involved in the sports gambling space. That's ATOZ Sports, the bonus code, up to $1,000 back in bonus bets if your first bet doesn't win on BetMGM.com and the BetMGM app.
All right, Sam. So, again, we've talked a lot about what Greg Cosell said on Thursday with 3HL, that Derrick Henry, in his prediction, will not be back after this season because he's on the last year of his contract. He's making a bunch of money. He's going to be 30 years old when the regular season ends. But what if he has 1,500 yards? What if he is top 3 again in the league in rushing and continues to have the type of production that we've seen from Derrick Henry the last several years? What should the Titans do? Because that's going to be difficult. If Derrick Henry does have a monster year like he's done, the Titans and Rand Carthon and Mike Vrabel will have to sit there and look and say, do we try to keep it rolling? Or do we just go ahead and switch to this evolution that we're talking about here?
So this is an opinion of mine that I think the Titans should do regardless of Derrick Henry's performance this season. And it does involve bringing Derrick Henry back. But what I think the Titans should do is include Derrick Henry in your offense because he does bring value to your offense while limiting his opportunity to being more of a role player in your offense for what he does particularly well. Now, part of that would mean Derrick's salary has to take a dip, right? He can't make $16 million a year. And if Derrick wants more than that, he wants to make over $10 million a year in his next free agent contract, that's fine. We wish you the best. You can't do it here because we can't pay that for I say one-dimensional lightly, but one-dimensional back that really is a bell cow running back with what we want to do. I look at what Dallas did with Ezekiel Elliott last season and Tony Pollard being the next man up and the dynamic guy for Zeke, who still had the ability to be a downfield runner, who was still found a lot of touchdowns when you put him out there in the red zone, and was still a very valuable member of the Cowboys last season, and say, that is what I'd like to see the Titans do with Derrick Henry. Find your primary back that can run between the tackles, that can bounce outside the tackles, and can run a complete route tree and be a playmaker for you with his hands, and, play him on 50 to 60% of your snaps. And when he's not out there, throw Derrick Henry in to, threaten a defense, make them stack the box. Maybe you create some space deep for Treylon Burks, whatever it is. But I don't think a big year from Derrick Henry this season should force the Titans into doubling and tripling down on their philosophy that really hasn't worked over the past few years. I mean, it's worked for Derrick, but has it worked for the Titans? That's the question that you have to ask. I don't think it's working anymore. Even in a season last year, Austin, Derrick Henry had 1,500 yards. He almost led the league in rushing. And what was that offense?
He missed the game, right?
He didn't. Yeah, and he missed the game. Yeah. So
the Cowboys game.
So what was that offense, though? Like, it still wasn't a productive group that could go and score quickly. And I think that's the name of the game in today's NFL. So you do have to get other pieces, receivers, a dynamic QB and stuff. But as Greg said at the end of that clip, you don't want to be forced to have to play through Derrick Henry. And that's what the Titans are right now. Like, if Derrick doesn't run for 120, you lose the football game. Point blank, period. That's how this offense works now. You don't score points when Derrick doesn't run well. I don't think that's a recipe for success. So I'd like to see them move in a different direction. And Andre brought this up in the super chat. Why does having a good back automatically mean run first versus being creative enough to keep defense honest? Teams have to have balance versus one or the other. And I agree with what you're saying, Andre, but I think it's the type of back that Derrick is. Because Derrick Henry cannot run routes or catch passes. He can't even really pass block.
Yeah, I was going to say, he can't pass protect with consistency.
Like, they found a way to incorporate him into a screen game last year and create big plays for him that way. But he's not lining up in the slot and running a route for you and opening up your offense. So when you have a Christian McCaffrey, or an Austin Eckler or whoever it is in your offense, you can create a balanced offense around your running back, and you can have a great running back while still having a great offense. But when that guy needs to have the ball in his belly 28 times a game, I don't know if that is what you need.
Yeah, so I just thought of a comparison for Derrick Henry, cross-sport comparison that I'll get to in a second, because I'm also seeing, to go along with Andre, I'm seeing Jonathan saying just franchise tag him. I saw Nathaniel come back in here with another super chat, says franchise Henry next year if he performs easy. Yeah, but that means you're like the franchise tag this season for running back is $10 million. So you're saying that you're going to pay Derrick Henry $10 million at minimum if you franchise tag him. That's not going to happen either. And then Devin, go along with that same thing. He had to carry the ball 348 times to get 1,500 yards. That's a lot. And and Devin also had a comment, he needs 25 carries a game to get going and to be that productive.
Yeah.
And here's my comp, Sam. I want to see how you feel about this. Derrick Henry, his basketball player comp, Allen Iverson. Let me explain. Derrick Henry is like Allen Iverson. Derrick Henry needs the ball in his hands to be the playmaker, right? Allen Iverson need the ball in his hands to be that playmaker. Both guys, unbelievable talents, and could produce, create on their own, score at ease, and make highlight plays. But at some point, Allen Iverson not being able to play without the ball in his hands hurt the Sixers. And Derrick Henry isn't great without the ball in his gut, or without the ball up there protected with his 4 points of pressure. But like, Derrick Henry is not good without the ball in his hands. He's not a good pass protector. He doesn't know how to run routes or catch naturally. I think Derrick Henry is the football version of Allen Iverson. At some point, he's going to hold you back from being a full team, because Allen Iverson needs 25 shots a game, just like Derrick Henry needs his touches per game. And this isn't a knock. Allen Iverson's a Hall of Fame basketball player.
I came up with a comparison myself for what I think Derrick Henry's NBA comparison is. I think it's Joel Embiid. I think he is the MVP. He's the physically imposing guy that you're scared of getting off the bus. He can absolutely dominate you at certain times, especially in the regular season. But the league tells you, don't build around a center. The league tells you, build around playmakers that can shoot. That is the NBA today. And the more that you build around the guy who might be very, very talented at his position, that goes against the grain for what the identity of a team needs to be, the more you get to the end of the season, get into the playoffs, get into these big time games, and find a defense that says, you know what, we're just going to, make him pass the ball or make him shoot, or we're going to, crash the boards extra. And you run into problems. Major Key says, Sam, you're blaming last year on Derrick. I'm not blaming last year on Derrick. I'm pointing to last year as an example of Derrick being relatively successful, posting the numbers that we talked about, right? Where he's right up at the league lead in rushing, and looking at the offense and saying it wasn't good enough, not because of Derrick, in spite of Derrick. The Titans offense was not good despite Derrick Henry being Derrick Henry. And so I think it goes to show that just because your running back is posting huge numbers in the rushing yards column doesn't necessarily mean you're running a productive offense or scoring enough points.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and some people pushing back on my analogy. Johnny says terrible analogy, Austin, because Iverson is all finesse while track to plows. I'm not talking about power versus finesse. I'm talking about the domination of the offense, right? And that's the point here, is that the Tennessee Titans offense with Derrick Henry must run through Derrick Henry and be built around Derrick Henry. With Allen Iverson, the ball was in his hands such a high percentage of the time to where that was how they had to play. And at some point, it does hold the team back if that dominant ball hog type of player, again, not a knock, it's just it doesn't allow the offense to flow and to have more options. If you shut down Allen Iverson, you're probably going to beat the Sixers back in the 2000s. And we know if you shut down Derrick Henry, it's going to be really easy, a lot easier to beat the Tennessee Titans in the last 4 or 5 years if you hold Derrick Henry to, 70 yards or something like that because of how the offense is set up. That's the whole point. It's the domination of the flow of the offense because neither guy played well without the ball. That's the analogy there. And so
I think if Derrick Henry's in an offense right now on the Titans that has, A.J. Brown still in it, Treylon Burks with Josh Allen throwing the football and a great offensive line, then I'm like, yeah, let's leave Derrick Henry in there because he, creates space downfield for guys and can help you, create a big play with his legs. The Titans don't have those other weapons around them offensively. So as they build for the future, I don't view Derrick as the plug and play star. Like, you have to start thinking about how you can adapt to get to that next level. And I think doing it with a primary back, and as Greg kind of worded it there, it is the way to go right now.
Yeah, for sure. And of course,
maybe it's what I said though, right? Maybe Will Levis crushes. Maybe, Tajay Spears shows that he can, be lightning in a bottle. Maybe Treylon Burks and Chigaconk will both take that next step towards stardom. You've got your picks and an offseason next year, and you can go into next season with Derrick Henry being a complementary piece to a well-oiled machine on offense. If that's the case, then I'm in for bringing him back. But I still don't bring him back at $10 million. Certainly not. And so it's all relative to what Derrick wants, what's best for him, and what's best for an offense that needs a major facelift.
Yeah, Michigan Titan says, what you do is build the offense to tailor your star. Right. But the offense and the star are in contradictory eras. And then Major Key says, supporting cast, man. AJ, Corey Davis, Jonnu, the Titans were lit. Yeah. I mean, continuing with the AI thing, the Titans don't even have an Eric Snow right now. Like, that's where the Titans are with the supporting cast around Derrick Henry. Is they're missing a lot. So let's, and then, Andre says, go ahead.
Well, he says, turn Henry Spears into Bettis Parker of the Steelers, which is kind of what I laid out, right? About how Derrick Henry can have a role in this, but you're not paying a role-playing running back who kind of has one thing, like a power back that's not your primary guy, $10 million a year. Mm-hmm. So, I don't know what Derrick thinks. Is Derrick all about making money? Is Derrick all about staying in Nashville long-term? Is Derrick all about, getting as many carries and opportunities as he can for the rest of his career? I don't know where his priorities lie, and where that is next offseason might be the determining factor for whether or not he's back in Nashville. So I'm open to the idea, but you can't sell out to do it.
Yeah. A to Z Sports here live on this Monday. Let's ask this question now, Sam. What's your confidence level in the Titans offense in a post Derrick Henry world on a 1 through 10 level? What is your confidence level in the Titans offense in a post Derrick Henry world? Now, this question set up that could be at any point in time, right? A post Derrick Henry world is going to happen at some point with the Tennessee Titans, and Greg Cosell thinks it's probably 2024 that we're going into the last year of that. So we're going to get a confidence level 1 through 10 in your post Derrick Henry world for the Titans offense. But Sam, I have a high confidence level that I am not going to get robocalls anymore from signing up with Aura.
Yeah, I am all the way confident because I've seen it and I've done it. I signed up with Aura and they have done everything they can, done a great job at keeping me safe online, blocking me from robocallers and telemarketers by making sure they control how much of my data is out there. Uh, a lot of people can access your data online. They can purchase your data, including your full name, your email, your address, your phone number, and the names of your relatives. These data brokers, they buy your information and then they sell them to telemarketers, robocallers, spammers, people that want to learn more information about you. That's kind of a scary thought, but Aura is here to help because I signed up with Aura. Just took a couple minutes. I got the app, made a couple taps, put in some information, and Aura's had my back. They immediately removed my information, found which data brokers had my info, removed it from them. And since then, I have not been getting those same calls, that spam mail, that junk, that no caller ID on my phone. Aura service also has a VPN, a password manager, real-time credit and identity theft monitoring, internet parental controls, and protects your devices from malware. Every safety you'll need is all inside one app. And like I said, it just takes a couple minutes and a couple clicks. So let Aura do the hard work and keep you safe online. Sign up right now to get a 2-week free trial with our link. That's aura.com/ATOZ, aura.com/ATOZ.
And with BetMGM, sign up with that app, use our code ATOZ Sports, and you get a great first bet offer that gets you up to $1,000 back in bonus bets if your first bet misses. So go big with that first bet on BetMGM with our bonus code ATOZ Sports. So you either win big or you get all those bonus bets back and then continue to try to win big again. So that's with BetMGM, code ATOZ Sports. Sam, now we're shifting the question into a post Derrick Henry world, whenever that may be. What's your confidence level in the Titans offense in a post Derrick Henry world on a 1 through 10 scale? What's the chat saying so far on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch?
Guy's at a 1. Jay is at a 1. Steven says 4. Taylor says 4. Mark says 2. Willie says 6. Eric is a 3. Keith is a 3. Trevor is at 4. React is at a 3. Eric says 8. Jake says 7. They'll figure it out. 1 with this coaching staff. 2 says Nathaniel. 7 post Henry/Tannehill from Lane. 1 without wide receivers. Right now, Derrick is all they've got. That's Danny coming in with that comment. 1 at this moment with the current roster, says Justin. Chris Frazier says 4. Dylan says 3.6. 3 from Richie. 4.5 from Nick. 4 from Orlando. 8 from Deborah. 3.14 says top tier. Karen's at 4.5. Troy says 1. Yannick's at 4. Jason's at 8. Brad's at 5. Michigan says 2. 5 from X Ghost. 8 from Juggy. 8 from Billy Jones. 0 if it's in the next 2 years, says Mr. Jones. Deshaun says 7. DeMarco says 7. 2.8 from Maserati Mac. Awesome. We are like on a roller coaster here, either high, some actually like high numbers there, and then a lot of very low numbers. What's your number here? What your confidence level in the Titans offense post Derrick Henry?
Yeah, I know this is a hard question to answer, and I'm not hating on anybody for whatever their answer may be, because I can justify any number 1 through 10. I think I'm gonna settle at a 4. 4 out of 10 confidence.
You can't do a 5. You can't do a 5.
No, it can't be on the fence.
Personal rules.
Yep. And 4.5 feels too high. 3.5 feels too low, because I do feel like there will be a breath of relief and fresh air and evolution. As I said, my one word was when Derrick Henry is done being the Titans face the franchise and lead running back, because the Titans need that to happen at some point so they can get back and get caught up with where the NFL is. I just don't know what Mike Vrabel looks like as a head coach without a dominant running game. And we just haven't seen it, right? Like,
yeah.
And there's no proof of that concept. So I'm at a 4 out of 10 because, look, I think that they are doing their best to try to balance the win now and compete now with also building for the future, which is the Will Levis and Tajay Spears draft pick to go along with Peter Skoronski and the reworking of the O-line. Like, that's the way to do it. But will it all pan out? Because the odds on the Titans hitting on Skoronski, Levis, and Tajay Spears in the first, second, and third round is not very high. Like that, going 3 for 3 on those picks would be incredible for any organization. And the Titans are kind of in a spot where they have to have all 3 work out. To a level, to an extent. Yeah, I mean, I think they do. Because here's what I think. Like, in order for any of this Derrick Henry conversation to come to reality, Tajay Spears has to be good. Like, he can't be Hassan Haskins. He absolutely can't be Darrington Evans. Like, the Titans have drafted now 3 running backs in the last 4 drafts. And the first 2 guys in Evans and Haskins, I don't think showed anything. And Haskins has just been 1 year. I just don't think he's explosive enough to be a primary back, right? Because that's the terms that Cosell used is Derrick Henry is a foundation back, which means you build everything around that foundation. He was saying the Titans need to go to a primary running back, which is a starter, a guy who's out there the majority of the snaps that can do everything, but he's not a foundation guy. I don't think Hassan Haskins is a primary back. I think he's a
foundation guy as well.
Yeah. He's what?
He's a foundational guy as well. Like,
but he's not good enough to be a foundational back.
Yeah, he's a rotational back. I guess he's more of you need something specific. You need a broken tackle or a power run.
He's David Fluellen. I don't know if you remember David Fluellen because that's probably before your time in Nashville, but that's what Hassan Haskins. He's a good special teamer. You can trust him to not completely mess up, but his ability is not like super high ceiling.
Well, I think he has a good ability as a power runner, but like he's good for you on 3rd and 1 and what else? So I mean, like that. Yeah, I mean that's kind of what Hassan Haskins is, at least for what we've seen.
Sure.
I'm a bit higher than you. I'm gonna go with an 8. It's a high number. I know it is. I was between a 7 and an 8, but I don't do any of the decimals here. So I'm going with an 8 because I believe in process and the correct process. So even if Tajay Spears isn't the answer, even if Will Levis isn't the answer at quarterback, and you're not just crushing every single draft pick that you make, I believe in the process that this move would symbolize for the Titans and where they go from here. I think moving to a primary running back, not having to play through the ground game. And as Cosell said on there, if a game dictates it, yeah, of course. Like, you don't want to be Buffalo where you're stuck throwing 40 times a game no matter what, and you get into the playoffs and you can't run the football, and that becomes, the thing that is your Achilles heel each and every year. You want to be able to do both. Especially depending on what an opposing defense shows you or what their strengths and weaknesses are. So I believe in the process of moving in that direction, of prioritizing different things. I think over time, this is something that will prove to be fruitful for the Titans, and they will, find their way. I think I still trust the player evaluation of Ran Carthon. He's given me no reason to this point not to trust his evaluation process and through what he was able to do in San Francisco. And so if you're approaching it from that mentality of saying we have the general manager in place to find the right guys, then I think you have to feel good about what the Titans can do in the future. I don't think this is an instant fix. I don't think you move on from Derrick Henry in 2024 and all of a sudden are a prolific passing team that becomes like a top 10 offense. But I do think over time, this is the necessary move and the necessary process to take that step as an offense and become, more threatening in the AFC than you currently are.
All right, A to Z Sports here live. Dylan says, luckily we seem to be GK free today in the chat on YouTube, which I'm sure GK would be. I don't know. Actually, I don't know how he would feel about your 8 out of 10 confidence level in the Titans in a post Derrick Henry world.
I don't know.
Yeah, I have no idea. Maybe he would be all about it. Who knows? You can't really
And
predict
look,
this guy.
it is more of a projection from my part. Like you said, I mean, we
Yeah.
don't have proof of concept of Mike Vrabel as a head coach without Derrick Henry. We don't have proof of concept as Rand Carthon as a general manager, period, yet. But
Yep.
I do believe in those two guys right now. I think Mike Vrabel, I said it last year, I'll say it again. I don't know. I think I can count on my hand the number of head coaches in this league I would take above Mike Vrabel, and I probably don't use all my fingers. So that's how I feel about him as the Titans head coach. And so as long as you have that guy with a player evaluator you believe in, I'm not afraid to move on from Derrick and say that he'll be able to figure it out.
Yeah, I'm not afraid for the Titans to move on from Derrick Henry either, but I just don't know how well set up they're actually going to be. I see the plans, but I don't know how well it's going to work out. I did note
that's the thing, though. It can happen so quick in the National Football League.
That's
Like
true.
all you need is one off season with a decent draft pick and some money. You can snap your fingers and you have an offense, right?
It's
Like
just
you
a
can
lot
get
easier
wide.
said than done, though, right? And
I mean, it starts with the quarterback, and
Yeah.
so more important than Tajay Spears is going to be Will Levis, and if Will Levis is your quarterback of the future, I don't think you have anything to worry about. Now, if he is not that guy to elevate your offense, that's another very big position that you have to address before you can think about taking the next step as an offense. So it all does start at QB, but in terms of receivers or running backs or an offensive line, like those are problems that draft picks and money can solve. And so it can happen relatively fast.
All right, so I did star a couple comments I wanted to get to based off of the conversation, and Sam being at an 8 confidence level in the Titans in a post Derrick Henry world. I was at a 4, so Sam doubling my confidence there. We'll get to those chat comments here in a second, but first, Krebs Kubota, they should be your equipment provider because Krebs Kubota, first of all, they're an elite Kubota dealer, and they have 3 locations across the mid-state in Columbia, Franklin, and Murfreesboro, and they've been serving Middle Tennessee for over 18 years. And with those 3 locations, that means they have the right service for you, and they pride themselves on customer service, not just having the best equipment in the industry with Kubota and what goes along with being an elite Kubota dealer, but having the people that Krebs Kubota has to make sure that whatever applications you've got going on at your property, whatever power units you need, whatever implementations you need to go on top of that, to have all of your projects be done the right way, the safe way, and the trusting way. So go check them out, big or small. If you need a mower, you need anything else there. If you need something like a hay baler, they've got it all with the Kubota brand and Krebs Kubota. Again, located in Columbia, Franklin, and in Murfreesboro. Check out their website. It looks really good. KrebsKubota.com.
Today's show is powered by BetMGM, the king of sportsbooks. Use that bonus code. It's ATOZ Sports on the BetMGM app or BetMGM.com and get up to $1,000 back in bonus bets if your first bet doesn't win. This is why BetMGM is the king of sportsbooks. It's why I love them. Austin loves them. Zach loves them. It's why I can't stay away from BetMGM when there's a big game on, because I know they're the king of sportsbooks and I can make every play and game mean more than it already does. So use that code. It's ATOZ Sports on the BetMGM app to get up to $1,000 back in bonus bets if your first bet doesn't win. That's your money back up to $1,000 in a bonus bet if your first bet doesn't win.
All right, so let's see. The comments that I had starred, Sam, you said you're at a confidence level of 8 out of 10 in a post
Chet's not
Derrick
too
Henry
happy
world.
with that number, by the way.
No, Jonathan, and people have said like there's too many unknowns. Jonathan says, how can you say 8 when you know nothing about a Tim Kelly offense? Which I actually disagree, Jonathan. I think we know just as much about a Tim Kelly offense as we did a Todd Downing offense. Like Tim Kelly has 2 years as an offensive coordinator in Houston, one with Deshaun Watson, one with Davis Mills. And, I think Todd Downing's had 3 overall seasons as an offensive coordinator, 1 with the Raiders and then 2 with the Titans. So I think we know plenty about Tim Kelly.
Yeah, well, look, it's not about Tim Kelly for me. Like, it's not about immediate success. That's not why I'm at an 8 with this thing. It is about the long-term ramifications of moving on from Derrick Henry. What I've been saying the Titans needed to do for years was modernize their offense, prioritize wide receivers, your quarterback, being two-dimensional, being dynamic. You don't do those things with Derrick on your roster and Derrick being your running back. Straight up, I'm sorry. I don't know that's not what Titans fans want to hear, but you don't. You're not running the ball 30 times with Derrick Henry in the current setup and being successful, being an elite offense and making a run at a Super Bowl. You prioritize the wrong things. So I'm at an 8 because if this post-Derrick Henry world is a sign that the Titans are taking a step in that direction and looking for their offense to be more modern in those ways, then I do believe in it. And I believe in Mike Vrabel to find success in whatever it is the Titans are doing. It's about the process. And I think your current process is incorrect. And if you start using the right process over time, it's going to end with the right results and the results that you want. So that's why it's an 8. Yeah. It's not about Tim Kelly. It's not about the wide receivers. It's not about where you're at right now as a roster. It's about where you will be by taking that step now.
Yeah, I get you on that. I'm with you there for sure. And then Devin says the organization screwed up by not going all in on the future and still trying to focus on winning now. That window for a championship closed in 2020. You know, I could argue that they had an opportunity in 21. But yeah, I mean, it's the, that's what, we've talked about this now for a couple of weeks after the draft, is that they're trying to do both things. And rarely can you do both things and do both things well and for it to work out. So at some point, they're going to have a problem with not being fully committed one direction or the other. And then Nick brings this up about Derrick Henry too. He says, how much would Henry get elsewhere as a free agent? With significant cap space in 24, could the Titans re-sign Derrick Henry for 10 to 15 million? I mean, yeah, they financially could. Would it be financially smart to do that? Probably not. No. And I also don't think that Derrick Henry has that big of a market around the NFL outside of Nashville. So I do think, the door is not completely shut on Derrick Henry being back after this season. It's just not very likely, in my opinion, because of all the things we talked about the last 50 minutes.
Yeah, I mean, the door's not closed at all. I think that there are a lot of variables that will remain over the next 8 months or so that will determine ultimately what happens with Derrick. Like, I don't think this is an open and shut case, or even if the Titans have a general idea or plan about where they're going, they might say behind closed doors right now, like, oh, maybe this is the last year of Derrick, whatever. Well, if Tajay Spears hurts his knee and Derrick Henry goes for 1,800 yards on 6 yards per carry, 5 yards per carry, like, you have to reassess the plan. If Derrick Henry comes to the Titans and says, look, I want to be a Tennessee Titan, I'll play for $4 million, you reassess the plan. There's a lot of variables that still go into this thing where I don't think it's open and closed yet, but I do think you can start to look at the roster construction and get an idea of where things are trending.
Yep, for sure. A to Z Sports here live on this Monday morning. Sam, I got a Monday Ask Me Anything topic that I'm curious to learn about from everybody. And I'll ask the question here now. When's the last time you chased an ice cream truck around your neighborhood? Don't answer it now. Just think about it. When's the last time you've chased an ice cream truck around your neighborhood because you heard it from a distance and you're like, oh, let's do it? When's the last time you chased an ice cream truck around your neighborhood? But Sam, first, go tell all of our friends about Wilson County Hyundai.
Listen, Wilson County Hyundai, they're the best, and you need to make them a part of your new car buying experience at wilsoncountyhyundai.com or out there in Lebanon. Wilson County Hyundai is the place to go for your new ride. You can get 0% APR for 48 months on 2023 Sonatas, Santa Fe's, and Tucson's. Payne Bone and his team at Wilson County Hyundai are happy to guide you through the financing process, assisting in either buying or trading in your vehicle. You can forget those downtown Nashville prices. They're out there in Lebanon. So go visit them at wilsoncountyhyundai.com.
Also, check out our friends BetMGM. Download the app. Use our code ATOZ Sports. You get a first bet offer where you get up to $1,000 back in bonus bets if your first bet misses. So do that with BetMGM throughout the summer. NBA playoffs still rolling strong. Conference finals are pretty easy to predict. So you could probably win big with that first bet offer right there. So visit BetMGM.com for terms and conditions. 21 or older, Tennessee only new customer offer. All promotions, subject to qualification, other requirements, rewards issued of non-eligible bonus bets. Bonus bets expire in 7 days. And for problem game sport, call Tennessee Redline 800-889-9789. So Sam, I asked the question on our Monday Ask Me Anything topic. When's the last time you chased an ice cream truck around the neighborhood? Because I was on a walk yesterday with the dogs around the neighborhood, and I could just faintly hear it. I was like, "That's an ice
They have
cream."
ice cream trucks out here.
Yeah, yes, and
Really,
and I was again. It was like I like stopped. I was like, "Did you just hear an ice cream truck? Did you hear an ice cream truck?" I'm like, "I heard it. It's in the distance, but I heard it." And so never saw it until we were a couple streets over, and I saw it drive down the main road. I go, "There it goes." And so it was there. It was in the neighborhood, but I didn't get it. But was curious.
I've never seen or heard an ice cream truck since I've been in Tennessee.
Really?
I didn't know they even had them down here. I thought that was like a foreign concept to the Nashville folk.
It was really funny because as soon as I thought I heard that tune, I was immediately 12 years old. Like it didn't take.
Oh yeah.
It didn't take a half a second. As soon as I heard it, I was like, all right, let's go. And then I was like, dang, I don't have any money. So I would have to like run home and then go chase and find it, listen for it. So when's the last time that you chased an ice cream truck?
The concept of an ice cream truck is just such a wild we all love it because of the nostalgia behind it. But like in today's world, who's going to have like change on them? Like in that one happenstance that the ice cream truck are ice cream trucks taking Venmo and like Apple Pay now?
I'm sure it's Venmo, right? Sell, like, Cash App, all that stuff.
Yeah. See, that makes more sense. I'm like, yeah, because that was always the issue as a kid, right? You see it go by and you're like, I have no money. And then it's a sprint inside to go like yell at your mom, I need money. Then you run back outside, hope you didn't miss it. Yeah. I love an ice cream truck. Do you
remember the last time you chased one?
Yeah. So the last time I chased an ice cream truck, chased is weird. Like, can it just be gone to the ice cream truck?
Yeah. I mean, I feel like whenever I hear one, I end up having to do some type of work to go find it. That's what I mean. Like by chasing.
Yeah. So mine, I went to an ice cream truck, and I will still go. They're all over Chicago. I will go anytime I see one in Chicago. I like to go up to it. They do it by the beaches in Chicago. So mine would have been, I think, a year ago over the summer. I was at a beach in Evanston, over by Northwestern, and they had an ice cream truck going through the town a little bit, and everybody at the beach was directing their attention. So I went and did that. I went and got the SpongeBob popsicle. We all know which one I'm talking about. Yep. Anytime I see, here's the craziest thing. They've started to do ice cream truck ice cream outside of an ice cream truck. And I don't know how I feel about that. I was like, you can go to a gas station now and get a SpongeBob popsicle, or like the Chipwich, which are like objectively, I think, the best things out of an ice cream truck, in my opinion. But how do we feel about those not being in the truck? Does it take like?
They're just trying to make money off of your nostalgia is what they're doing, which I can't hate them for it.
Huh. Yeah, I don't know. So yeah, I did it about last year. I think I was at a beach.
Last year.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah, last year I was at a beach over the summer. I was hanging out. And, ice cream truck comes by, you're sitting there in the heat, and you're just like, I could go for some ice cream right now. Yeah. I mean, I didn't run after it, but
Yeah, I wanted to yesterday. But again, like yesterday I heard it, immediately was 12 years old again. Like ready to go.
You're not gonna go seek it out like you were if you were 12, but if you walked out to your front door and saw it coming down the street, you're stopping that thing and getting some ice cream. Like that's not a question. So
I'm in. Yeah. So mine, I heard it yesterday. I saw it drive down the street yesterday, but I've definitely done it since college, but I don't, it's been a handful of years since I've actually chased down an ice cream truck. But man, it's always fun.
I probably wouldn't do it if it wasn't such a rarity. But I feel like it's
Yes.
like it once a year, maybe I see or hear one that like when you do see it that one time, you're like, oh, I need to go get some ice cream. Like, when is the next time I'm going to see an ice cream truck? So you have to take advantage of the opportunity.
Yeah. DeMarco says he does it for his kids. Absolutely. Absolutely. So, all right, guys, that'll wrap it up for this Monday show. Great show talking about Derrick Henry's future, what the expiration date might be, according to Greg Cosell's prediction. And I know that we ruffled some feathers, I'm sure, every time we talk about Derrick Henry not being a Titan for much longer, but that's okay. But hey, the Titans will be on the practice field tomorrow. That's Tuesday. And so we'll have a lot to talk about later in the week, from seeing the rookies and the vets together for the first time. So make sure you subscribe to our channel and like the show before you go, because when the Titans are on the practice field, we give you the videos and the highlights all across our YouTube channel. So make sure you hit that like button, you subscribe, you get the notification bell on. So whenever we post Titans content, you guys get it first and right after it goes public on the channel. Appreciate it as always. We'll talk to you again tomorrow morning on a Tuesday. Appreciate it.